So just calling to order the Township Board meeting for Portage Township for April 15th, 2025. Roll call, Ryan Hill here.
Mr. Dodge is here.
Cheryl Ash is here.
All right. Next, just need to have a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda for the Portage Township Board for April 15th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then approval of the minutes. It's February 25th here.
So if you recall, I didn't include them in the packet last meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's start with that. So we have the February 25th meeting minutes for approval. It's just about the annual report. I don't see any issues with that. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the meeting from February 20. Wait a minute. Yeah, February 25th, 2025.
All right, Cheryl. All right.
Right, but do we have them?
Yeah, they're up on top.
Oh.
That's March. If it would have been before that.
No, it should have been before.
Here, pick mine. I know what they said.
No, it's fine, because I wouldn't remember what happened in February anyway.
It was the meeting where we met real quick to
Okay,
pass the.
that's why I don't remember.
So all in favor of approving? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then the meeting minutes for March 18th.
I motion that we accept the Portage Township Board meeting minutes for March 18th, 2025.
Just a moment. I do see one issue under E. Mr. Hill motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Hill.
Mhm.
So don't know, but probably need to change that.
Yeah, let's see. I want to go ahead and make a correction now. Or just a note that we'll correct it after they sign. We'll go back and watch the meeting.
Is that E?
Yeah, E at the very end. Okay, and the section on my meeting with James, I think I would like to strike that part about him being obstinate and hostile. That's a little strong.
Yeah.
That's,
We could take it out. It was said.
we'll take it out of the notes, please.
Yeah, we
Under
said it
H.
here on.
Yeah,
two,
we did.
So
But that's
what
okay.
difference does it make?
Also, his name is misspelled later on in that paragraph.
Mhm.
Mulilla. Okay, I don't see anything else.
Can I tell one thing that would be helpful for me in the minutes?
Sure.
Because to be honest, I don't remember what the potential partner is F. When it talks about solar,
Uh-huh.
I do not even remember what that potential partnership was.
Oh, so loved.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, several years from now, probably some of us are not going to remember. If like on those kind of things, if they can just give a little short description,
Okay.
so the partnership was or the partnership
Could
proposed.
be, yeah.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, I don't remember what
Okay.
the partnership idea was.
Okay.
Dropped your name at the senior and men's club today,
Oh,
by the way. I don't meant to tell you. They all knew Cheryl Ann. Talking to the
Were
Okay.
you there for breakfast?
I just went to their meeting, you know,
Okay.
every Tuesday.
I don't say you had cholesterol. Yeah.
Motion to approve the minutes with those changes.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Wait, am I allowed to make the motion?
You're technically not supposed to, but it's a 3-member board. I don't know, it's.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
well, I'll make it.
yeah, I mean, you are a board member. I mean, that's, yeah, so,
If
yeah.
somebody called you out, it would be a Robert Rules of Order issue, but it's not a legal issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're also the chair, so you decide to make a
If one
motion.
of them wanted to make an issue of it.
As we have recently explored,
Go ahead. I'll
as
back
we've
you.
recently explored in depth with the county council issue. All right.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve.
A second.
Okay.
With the changes.
I don't even want to open the
Change
Pandora's
it.
box saying, I don't even know if we ever agreed to go by Robert's Rules of Order.
I think that's true.
And technically, you're supposed to.
Modified Robert's rules.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to
Right.
make the changes.
Brian's rules.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right, all, in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, I want to open for public comment. Don't see anyone noted on the, screen. No one else in here, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. All right, new business. First is the resolution for community centers.
Yeah, so Alex drew this up. This is basically a resolution where if we are going to, I think it's satisfying an area of the law that could be determined one way or another. And so out of an abundance of caution, asking the board to consider the approval of this. And if you have questions for Alex, it's basically acknowledging that we have received the petition signatures that we needed. Did you bring yours?
I did not. You know why? Cause I forgot to put them in my work bag.
I've got over 25 on me, so.
Oh,
I have,
But I'll get them.
I have more at home.
Okay, but
I don't-
on me right now, I have
Right.
over
Sign it.
25 signatures.
okay.
And so in order to move forward with any sort of, I mean, is that all right? I mean,
Yeah, I think the receipt of the petition and the 25 signatures is, that's part one of the test, under that statute that's indicated. The other is board approval. So the way that this
Yeah.
process is designed to function under statute is, it isn't something that the board on its own undertakes, its own initiative. It's not something the trustee undertakes, of its own initiative. It's a wellspring of the, freeholders who petition the township to act.
Yeah.
So that's the.
You weren't at the meeting, I think, or I thought of this question afterwards. I live in a co-op, so I live in a corporation technically.
Mhm.
Could I have gotten signatures? Cause I don't own the land. I don't own my townhouse. I own a share in the corporation.
I think you're right. I don't think you qualify.
I didn't
as a
think I
freeholder.
could.
No, and which is interesting. The township is one of the few government entities that has this type of language, and it's essentially, the public comment period is an example of taxpayers in the township have the opportunity to come before you and you're required to hear from them. This is one of those statutes that says that freeholders are allowed to petition you, but renters, somebody who's otherwise in
Yeah.
the jurisdiction temporarily,
Uh-huh.
doesn't have the authority to execute that petition.
Yeah.
So yes, I think
And
you're right.
yeah, 'cause I asked them about something else and they said, well, technically, I don't own where I live. I
Yeah.
own a share in
An
the
interest in-
corporation.
Right.
And one of the
That-
benefits of a share is I live where I live.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think that's right. Now, well, if you get into this whole, the co-op as the corporation could probably sign,
Yeah.
but,
Of course
that's
they're
not
not.
the case. Yeah, so,
Okay, yeah, I
So,
just
yeah.
wanted to know for future reference if we do this again.
yes, yeah, it's a, which is where the verification from the auditor's office is important there as well. The auditor will run through the tax roll and say, yeah,
Okay.
that's a landowner. No, that isn't a landowner,
Right.
and verify the signature.
Yeah, because I had to be a landowner to get signatures.
Only to sign the petition. I mean, you don't have to be a freeholder to circulate the petition.
I thought I had to
That's
be.
what we were.
Yeah, they said we.
Last time is we couldn't do it.
Yeah, we
because-
were told that we had to own
The language in the certification does seem to sound like you need to be a property owner even to circulate it.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't matter.
if it's the safest bet, sure.
It doesn't
The
matter.
statute doesn't say that, but the safest thing to do then, especially if that's advice of bond counsel, then follow that advice.
Yeah. Eventually, we should clarify that.
Well, it's a statutory matter at
Oh,
that
it's a
point.
law.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what's drawn up here. So it's if bond counsel says the safest thing to do is to have
Okay.
a freeholder circulate it to other
Uh-huh.
freeholders, then that's
Is it a 200-year-old law?
pretty close. I mean, freeholder doesn't show up in statute very often.
Business on that one.
So yes, Jason, to your point,
Okay.
with the execution of the petition, with the 25 freeholder signatures presented to the board, what this resolution does, this statute authorizes the trustee on behalf of the township to go and this middle paragraph here lays it out exactly what the statute says.
Mhm.
To purchase or improve suitable land or purchase, construct, reconstruct, renovate, remodel, or improve
Mhm.
room space, buildings, or equipment for a township community center for civic, social, recreation, or other township purposes, or township recreational land area. So
Mhm.
what this is addressing here is some of the potential improvements that the township has as part of its strategic development. And then also, this also contemplates any improvements that would be performed for this building and
Mhm.
also to the William Street building.
Okay.
So that's what's contemplated. And the petition lays those out expressly,
Mhm.
so there's no
And our
confusion.
cemeteries, parks.
Correct.
yeah, all
Yep,
that.
all those are included in there. And
Yes,
those are
Good
the,
point.
the ownership interests of the township. So, if there's one correction that Lana has pointed out to me, in my haste, I believe I've misidentified the address of the William Street property.
There wasn't, I think it was right on the petitions, one
I think it's
thing.
right in the petition,
Yeah,
but I think it's wrong here in the resolution. So, to the extent the resolution needs to be amended to reflect that correctly, obviously the township doesn't have an interest in 113 North William Street. I'm not even sure if that's an actual address. So it's kind of a solution in search of a problem, but, my recommendation, to the extent that the board has any other questions, would be to amend that piece and then adopt it as amended.
Okay, so what you're saying is we'll change the address.
Correct, yeah. Scrivener's error on the address.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you saying we'll eliminate the old building's address?
No,
Okay,
just,
okay.
just,
Just get the right
Transpose the
one.
numbers.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
What's the proper address?
133.
33, okay. Yep, they're trying to make us take over someone's house.
I didn't have any questions.
Is there a house?
When you do,
No, it's our
For a
property too. It might be appropriate to include 133 William. It is kind of a community center now.
Well, that's what the petition said, we just saying,
Yeah.
say we can do that. Any other changes? No.
With those changes, is there a motion to approve?
So I motion that we approve resolution 08-2025 with the change of having the address be 133 Northwest, North William Street, South Bend, Indiana.
All in favor? Aye.
All right. All right, 9-2025 is the final resolution for the issuance of bonds. So it basically has all the information in there that kind of repeats everything that's been passed or discussed before, sets out what all of the parameters are going to be on the issuance of the bonds. Basically, that's what it does. It sets out all the parameters for that. And this is the final actually, we need to hold a public hearing. And then the board needs to consider acting on final language.
Okay, so do we vote on this now?
Following,
Open it up for public hearing, and then you would vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do we discuss before the public hearing or after?
I mean, you've seen this before, but you can discuss it anytime you want,
yeah, I would.
or go ahead. Alan.
My recommendation is open the public meeting, that, you know, the materials have been made available. My understanding is, that the notice for this has been published appropriately. So the public hearing is appropriate to the extent there's any remonstrators, you can hear from them, and then at the close, that's when I would encourage debate. I think it would be premature for the board to discuss.
Makes sense.
So
Right.
technically, we'd hear what the public said
Correct,
That
and
makes
take that into consideration.
correct.
Okay.
And then deliver.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing then on resolution 09-2025. I'm not seeing any members of the public here to discuss it. We'll go ahead and close that. I had two questions on this. First, what is the term of the bonds?
We haven't determined that yet.
It's not, I mean,
Mhm.
it's on the maturity date no later than 8 years.
Yeah, we did 3 years on fire one.
That's what I was thinking, it's
Yeah.
the same, but this is quite a bit bigger. Isn't it?
We haven't determined that yet either. It's just not to exceed 4 million, which the other one was
Thank you.
the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how, if they end up passing the property tax cuts, how would that affect this?
Big government.
But we're still taking more from the general pie to put toward this, aren't we?
It cuts into the circuit breaker for South Bend and the county and all other taxing entities, yes, but this would not be affected. It would cut into the circuit breaker. So that property tax relief bill will also cut into the circuit breaker, will also affect the circuit breaker.
Right, because didn't you give us once, or did I get sent? Or maybe I read it about how much money, but that was when it first was proposed.
Yeah,
And I know it's been altered some, hasn't it?
it's, yeah, what they passed last night,
Uh-huh.
and has not, it will be signed by the governor by July is basically, without edification, trying to keep edification out of it. Or editorialization. They're increasing the homestead exemption.
Okay,
So 2/3 of taxpayers, if you're at $150,000 or less, I think, on your home value, will see a couple $100,
okay,
in the next 3 years
okay.
return on that. It's also limiting the growth of budgets by 4%, which is what they were doing anyway. I mean, the
Okay.
state determines what you can grow your budgets by. It adds some extra credits for disabled people and veterans, but I haven't
Mhm.
seen the math on any of that. So how it
Okay.
affects us, we really have no idea. We haven't seen. They
Until you,
literally just did it last night. And,
right,
but it's not as significant as it was. Now, for
Originally.
bigger taxing units,
mhm,
it will have an effect on them. Yeah. And then the schools have to deal with the property sharing, the property tax revenue sharing with charter schools.
Right.
Which with language that was added to that bill as well.
right,
So well over 50% of the 1.2 billion that will be removed from local government budgets,
mhm,
well over 50% of that is schools.
But didn't, in that bill, didn't they allow like local governments then to increase?
Well, you can, so
income tax or
they
something like
basically,
that?
right now, we have a local income tax, we have a lit. That
mhm,
requires 2 of the 3 taxing entities, the county, the city, or Mishawaka, the county, the city, 2 of the 3 to change it, or to put it in place, which they put it in place 10, 15 years ago. This also added an ability for municipalities to also do a local option income tax without an approval. Before they needed the approval, as I understand it, before they would have needed the approval of the county to put another income tax in place, and with this law, they won't. They're able to do an additional income tax. As many of us predicted at the very beginning, that's just what they do every single time, is they cut taxes at the top and then they have the local people increase their taxes. But like this won't be affected for several reasons, but it exists outside of the levy. But even so, I actually had the same conversation with Steve Dalton. If we were to remove our tax levy completely, my question was, if we would remove our tax levy as a township, no tax,
mhm.
would the taxpayer in South Bend receive extra money in their pocket at the end of every year? And the answer is not likely, because all the other taxing entities around here would just gobble it up because the tax rate is so high. It's well above the tax caps. Here in South Bend, it's about 5.5%. That's what my tax levy is for my house.
Mhm,
Now, I don't pay 5.5%, I pay 1%.
mhm.
I need my chart.
Where's the whiteboard?
Take it out of my whiteboard. Anyway, yeah, we just, even Steve Dalton kind of like, he's one of these, like, he doesn't bother going in and try to understand the effects until it's settled and fine.
Mhm.
So like when we do a budget later this year, then we'll know. But this exists outside of that.
Okay,
That bill,
Senate Bill 1.
is that the reconciled bill at this point? Is that,
Yeah, they passed they took the language out of like 287, the property tax, the school funding one, and they added it to Senate Bill 1. Passed it at about midnight last night.
I was going to bed and popped up.
I was listening to the debate,
so,
but we can obviously talk more about that as the year goes on, and we'll understand that. Will our lit increase? We're just along for the ride in those conversations. I would have to advocate on our behalf, but we don't set those local income tax rates. We get a portion of it.
but we
unless
don't.
they tell us we don't.
You can just say,
But
this
they
is
did-
what I wish you all do, and they
And-
probably aren't gonna listen to you.
Well, they're gonna have 20 others like me sitting in the room saying, well, this is what we think you should do. And
Mhm.
I don't know how it was set originally, what we get in lit. I've always had that question. I never had it properly answered. Not sure the township had a voice at the table.
I mean, I looked at this, I understand most of it. Because I guess and we can't do anything about this, but I just want to say it to be official. Since we took over the cemetery, which technically the county was responsible for
Mhm.
before,
Mhm.
I'm just disappointed that when they sold things for Portage Township, none of that money was put in a trust for
Anything related to the manor.
the cemetery. You know, I feel that all that stuff that was sold and if they sell anything like the building or a certain amount of that money should go in a trust for the cemetery, the maintenance of the cemetery.
Sure.
It belonged to the county and they should have made some kind of arrangements for it.
Yeah.
And I just want to officially say that.
I hear you. We actually don't technically own it yet either. They still haven't transferred title to us, so
Well, are they maintaining it?
they are.
Okay.
Well, maintaining it, they're mowing it.
Okay, that's what I mean, the mowing of the grass, because we're coming into grass growing season.
They
Okay,
are mowing, yep.
well then let them keep it.
We do have it budgeted. We have everything budgeted for it.
I'll tell you a story about that.
Part of the bond proceeds are for it too.
They still have survey work to do, don't they?
That was our last word from them.
yeah, I think
Gonna resurvey it.
there's an issue of needing to replat the cemetery, plat on the subdivision, to better align with the geology of the site, I would call it.
Okay, now explain that to me. I think I know what replatting means, but what
Create
geography,
new boundary lines.
Yeah,
but what's the geography got to do with it?
there's some areas of the cemetery that are a little more expansive than the original
Okay,
subdivision identified. And
So
so
the burials in places that aren't marked was the issue, isn't it?
mostly, I mean, at least along the boundary lines as the,
They found that they are marked. They are surveyed, but the boundaries that they've been using for the cemetery go beyond, the bodies go
I see.
beyond the boundaries they're
Yeah.
using. We know where the bodies are now,
okay,
but they have not been using the proper boundaries for the cemetery. They need to make the cemetery bigger.
so it's gonna be bigger, right?
Yeah, but I mean, in the
I
woods.
was gonna say, that does sound pretty ominous, but
we know where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, they now know where they are.
Okay. So when they do this, is there gonna be any extra land?
No.
No,
Not as part of
it's
that.
not
Not
like
part of
any
that.
extra land that somebody might wanna buy or anything.
I have
like
that on the agenda for us to talk about. if we have
Okay,
time.
sorry,
No, you're
Jumped
fine,
ahead.
but
All right.
I'm trying to find some money.
Resolution 09/2025.
I second it.
Yeah, I make a motion that we go ahead with resolution number 09-2025.
I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for that. And then, Sammy, this is for the minutes as well. Bond council, at the March meeting, we also presented the appropriation of this and we passed that. Technically, we should have done that after this. They thought you were just gonna be presented it. They're used to.
Right.
They're used to, but basically, if they would just like it noted in the minutes, Sam, that was passed last time. And if the board would choose to change their mind on that right now, now is the moment to say so. Otherwise, the minutes will reflect that the appropriations is affirmed by the board as well.
I don't think we should change our minds.
Don't see any issue.
Otherwise, we would have this money and then not be able to spend it. So. Hopefully that's good enough to satisfy them there. Thank you. Then next is, Alex also drew this one up, so he would be able to answer questions on it. So, in talking about creating a partnership with the, nonprofit that's managing the ballpark, Morris Mathis and the land there. This would be the township designating it public land for public use. Cheryl, I think you talked about that a bit, making sure that the neighborhood and people have access to it. The
Yeah.
township has access to it if we're going to be providing investments into it. You also then, as part of this, have, yep, there it is. You have what their current estimated capital needs are for board discussion. And this is why you can see why it's sat there vacant and in disrepair, because nobody really has that kind of dough land, and they're not gonna make money on this adventure
Right.
here, so. But I did talk to them. There would be, if this were to pass and if we were to move forward with it, then we would get a use agreement in place. I think Alex says that's the next step there. So we would get some sort of use agreement in there where you could say, this is what we'd like to see it used for. The township would, has access to this, the neighborhood has access to this, all that stuff.
The only thing I would say is, and I don't think that has to be in the resolution or anything, but since technically other people who don't belong, it's a baseball place, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah,
Who don't belong to that baseball
that's right.
playing part. How they'll set up if someone else wants to rent that field when it's not being used.
Well, I think we would want to talk about that in the use agreement.
Okay,
This is designating it as township use, public use,
okay,
but we would want to put agreement into place with Morris Mathis, the nonprofit, on what exactly we would like to use it for, what kind of concessions we'd like to see.
right, how someone would book it if they wanted to use it.
That's right. If
Okay,
they're gonna have a tournament there, if they're gonna have a thing
Right.
there, how do they go about doing that?
yeah, okay, that's fine with me.
So under this, are we purchasing the property?
We are not purchasing the property.
So we are just,
It is titled as it always has to remain a baseball field or.
yeah, that's what I remember you saying.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out when it says designates as township. Here we go. What does that actually mean? Like, what is the obligation involved there?
So the idea with the use agreement is, and how it parlays with the statute, and this is the same statute that we just discussed with the township acting upon the request of the freeholders to improve suitable property. That's a definition that's left open by statute, and so the resolution here defines this real property as suitable. What's contemplated here is the township taking an interest in the property by virtue of the agreement to allow the township to use it, or on behalf of the public to use it, to enable the township under that statute to make these improvements. If the township doesn't take an interest, then you potentially run afoul of what the statute would require. So that's where, when we talk about improving suitable property, or Ryan, you had said the
Designate as township recreational land.
that is part of matching that statutory language to the intent of the agreement.
So does it, this is interesting, because I just kind of was looking into some of these things. Does this create a long-term? Yeah, I'm just wondering what the long-term agreement between Mathis Little League and then the city is then. in terms of rights?
Well, my
I mean, I
understanding,
know there's, yeah, the township, yeah.
yeah, my understanding is there's no arrangement between the city and Mathis.
Right.
But what it would look like is, this would be part of the discussion with the use agreement that I think would lay a lot of this out. But I think the idea would be, if not in perpetuity, at least for the economic life of the improvements that the township is making, you know, that it would be open and available to the township, and then by virtue of township access to public. So depending on the improvements the township makes, is that 5 years, 10 years, is it 15 years? You know, I think you've got public money that's flowing into this project, and so the township has, I think the township has some right there to dictate what the strings are.
The complete 5-field resurface. What's that?
The field, the turf, they can't play ball. It's the ground has to be.
Okay.
That's what
And
they're
is it 5 fields we're doing?
well, it's a 5-field park.
Does that mean there's 5 baseball diamonds?
Part of the conversation. I mean, what do you want budgeted for it?
Okay.
So
I should have driven out there. I don't
Do
even know
all-
where it's at.
do all 5 fields need to remain restricted to baseball?
Yeah, I mean, they have to be baseball fields. Yeah,
Because of the way the land was given to them.
that's right. I mean, could they make one not a baseball field? I don't know.
I mean, like putting in some soccer or that kind of thing.
That would be nice to know, because soccer is a real issue now, which when all of this was done, like I was gonna say, like over at, hold on, Charles, at LaSalle Park, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They had to make room for some soccer fields, which was not the original thought when that park was done. And
I would imagine the layout out there would make that difficult or
Okay.
expensive,
Okay.
but I'm not the expert there.
I mean,
can we ask them?
Well, because of where it is, if you were going to.
Is it on the west side of town,
It's
isn't
on
it?
the far west side of town.
Yeah.
It's fire, it's like it's on the edge of the city and getting into the township itself,
Okay,
I mean,
unincorporated.
that'd be something to look into, just because of where it's at.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need a lot of equipment to play baseball. Soccer is
Yeah.
easy.
I guess this is my thing, right?
So I mean, not that we would, but I just,
Future use.
you know,
Well,
knowing.
there's other parks there's other land opportunities that have been presented to us that we just haven't had time to dive into. There's one over off of Bendix and Bordy, that's land there that the owners said they don't want. If we wanted it, could we turn it into a baseball? We've asked Abbott Marsh or a couple places to look at it and just tell us, you know, as a handshake agreement, what could be done here? Would it fit a field? I just don't have that information yet. So, lots of possibilities, you know.
Mhm.
Okay.
And with the bond, you'll have the dough to do it.
Okay, see, I would feel better if we had the use agreement to see what they're willing to do with the usage.
We could do the use agreement for the next meeting. I think we'd have.
And then approve spending this amount of
So you're
money.
not approving spending this.
Oh, we're
I'm
not?
sorry, yeah, if that was not made clear. For transparency, this is what they're saying it's going to take.
Oh,
This
okay.
is the start of the
Okay, I
discussion.
understand now.
This
Okay.
is designating it, this is what gives us the ability to have the conversation.
Okay, no, I
This is
understand now.
what they're saying. Now, they're putting in about $250,000 themselves.
Right. Okay, I understand. I thought
No,
this
they
is
wanted
how
to-
much we were
they wanted
gonna,
that made known as well. They're not doing nothing,
okay,
but they don't have this much.
right,
So we budgeted a certain amount in the bond or
Right.
something like that,
that's fine.
not 592.
But it doesn't mean we're necessarily gonna spend this right now. So if I vote yes on this,
You're designated as public land.
right, but I'm not saying for sure this is what they're getting until we see the use
I
agreement.
think you would want to do a use agreement.
Okay, okay.
Well, the other quick question is, once it is designated public land, does that give us any legal obligations about the land?
No, because it's still gonna be subject to, it's gonna be subject to the use agreement, because otherwise the township doesn't have a possessory interest or legal interest at all. It's really, this is very much a declaration, of the board that gives me the authority to help
Mm,
put together this agreement.
yeah,
And and then subsequently to allocate bond expenditures to it.
Mhm.
That's basically it. No, there is no obligation of the township once it has said, we want to designate this as recreational land, will be still subject to the consent of the landowner.
Right. So can we be
Otherwise, it's a
sued?
taking.
Can we be sued for any reason?
No.
Okay,
Nope, I see no votes are there from this resolution.
Okay, but,
Okay.
In front of you.
but tomorrow you do have to go out and like put a flag in it.
You gotta go
We have a township flag, don't you?
We don't have a township flag.
Can we
We
like,
want a township
A
flag.
logo.
can we like wait till the weekend for this? I need to be present. I need to be present for this.
All right, any other questions on the?
No, now that I understand, we're not actually spending this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so it just kind of leaves us open to see what we can do there then. All right, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we accept resolution 10-2025.
I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Real quick though, because it would be nice to pass this in May, the use agreement, because if we move, they've already started the work in their investment out there, and if we could do it for this season.
Right,
Yeah,
that
If
makes
we
sense to
move-
me.
If we move, Alex, like, as he's drafting the use agreement, real quick, what's important for you in there?
I just wanna see how they're gonna reserve it. Because,
Like how we are.
so I'm Cheryl Ash and I'm having a family reunion and I wanna rent that baseball diamond for my family reunion,
I see, I've got ideas on that.
okay?
Yeah,
How do I rent it?
I got you.
And for me, just accessibility and if we can answer a question like I said, I mean, if there's some flexibility in other things that can be done there, right? Because if it's all 5 fields of just baseball fields, and that's, there's a lot of kids that doesn't help.
Or I wanna have a concert there.
Yeah.
Those are just questions, right?
Sure.
Like,
Well, and I think the use agreement will contemplate that, the township isn't the landowner, so it doesn't have the exclusive right to use. it,
Right.
Right, it's basically the township has a right because it's made this contribution, made this improvement to the property,
Right,
but it will yield to,
right,
if they've got a tournament going on that weekend.
right,
Then.
yeah,
I imagine
It's
it
not
being the
available.
the trustee's office can call and say, hey, we've got someone who'd like to use the field for XYZ. Is it
Right.
available on this day?
right.
And then that's the conversation.
Right, and the only way I would be concerned is if the field can never be used from when baseball season starts
Mhm.
to when baseball season ends.
Sure.
So it would, if they said, well, from April
Never
to
during the season,
October,
then what's
you
the
can
point?
never
Right.
use it.
Mhm.
Then I'd have to think twice.
I don't think that would be the case, but I see your.
Right,
I mean, it just
Because
has to be in
who wants to use it
service.
in the winter?
Yeah, right.
Sure. Right.
Unless, they make it indoor space,
There's indoor spaces, but it's like administrative offices.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure Alex knew the direction you wanted to go on that.
Thank you for that.
And can you all give the address so I actually will drive out there tonight?
No, it's just Memphis Field.
It's, so, I mean, it's kind of near it's almost at the corner of Mayflower and the bypass.
It's next to
out there.
Belleville. Do you know where Belleville is?
Belleville
Across the
apartment.
countryside.
Oh, Belleville Apartments?
It's back in
Yeah.
Belleville, and then the Belleville fields, softball fields are over there. It butts up right against it, but it's in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Playground and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we do need to get going if
Meadow Lane.
be able to do our thing at 6.
All right, internal controls. Lana is going to be sending you all an email with a link to a video.
Mhm.
So internal controls it's important for oversight and transparency for especially townships. If one person is cutting checks, that somebody else is reviewing what they're doing.
Yeah,
So we have a process in place that Lana and I put in, that Lana cuts checks, I review those checks, and I sign off on all of them every
Right.
month. The State Board of Accounts wants every staff member and board members doing a training on what internal controls are.
okay,
So I think it's just watch the video and then email and tell us that you watched the video as well.
Okay.
We'd like
Maybe
to have
the
on
next
file.
meeting, I'll just.
It's just to
have
avoid a
sign
ding
form.
on an audit.
right.
So is that it? That covers your
Mhm.
thing there? Portage Manor Ravine grounds, just got it on here. Like I told you guys kind of via email. It does sound like there is interest and legit interest if that the commissioners, the county, the ravine, part of Portage Manor grounds includes a ravine, big ravine. I don't know if you've ever been out there. It's really, really long,
Okay.
deep, real big. And
And a ravine is this?
yeah, it's like woods and it's real pretty. It's woods
Okay.
and there's trails in it and
Okay.
that now,
Derek says it's where De La Salle landed. That's
yeah.
what he says.
Okay,
I don't think that's correct, but he
I-
probably went that way. It would make sense that he went that way. Well, I mean, Riverside Cemetery has the denotion where he walked up the embankment. Doesn't matter. That was where Pinnock Park was,
Yep,
or the
right.
pinhook of the river before they
Okay.
created Pinnock Park. Anyway, it is historical. There's a lot of old stuff there, very old. Anyway, it does sound like there's legitimate interest in the county offloading that property, and there is a
Mhm.
legitimate question is if the township is willing to take over that property.
the ravine?
The ravine and the grounds that surround it.
To what
Well,
end?
if somebody wants to buy it, why are they willing to let go of the money?
So nobody wants to buy this. It's not developable.
Oh, it's
They
not
are-
developable.
They are interested in selling the other areas that are developable off the cemetery, off the ravine area, off the woods. It's woods and ravine. No, that they're all very interested in seeing developed somehow in some way. They don't know.
But the ravine
But-
can't be developed.
I don't think it could easily be developed. That seems right.
And they want us to take it.
They're asking if you'd be interested.
So why would we be interested in having it?
Conservation?
That's right. Preservation.
I mean, I'm not saying I am, I'm saying.
But why can't they preserve it?
That's my thinking.
These are the moments I like to just sit here quietly and allow you to discuss this.
Okay. Well, here's my thing. If we can't get any money out of it, okay. Like,
Or public good.
okay. But then my second thing is, I mean, one thing about the cemetery, and I know this may not sound, I don't know, but people often walk through cemeteries for walking because it's quiet,
Sure.
it's serene. So my theory is we develop the cemetery nice enough that people can use it to walk through.
How far is this ravine from the cemetery? Or does
It butts up against the cemetery.
Okay, so,
Follows Boland.
Jason, do you have the, Phil sent that subdivision. Do you have that, Andy? That might help too.
because I guess I'm saying is, the only thing I think the ravine would be good for would be for walking, okay? And people walk through the cemeteries, Highland and them all the time. You know what I mean? They're not being sacrilegious or anything. It's just quiet and it's serene. And then Cheryl teaches people how to drive in the cemetery also.
Island.
Because it's got, you're
Mhm.
not gonna hit another car, whatever.
You know what's funny? I learned to drive in a cemetery. My dad taught me in a
You
cemetery.
drive in the cemetery, see? I teach
My
people to
dad
drive
taught
in
me
the
how to
cemetery.
drive on the street,
Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is,
on Fillmore Road.
unless somebody on the board can tell me why we want another piece of land that we will have to maintain, I don't want the land.
I always look at land as an asset. It's an asset. I mean, like, one day you didn't want to sell it, right? I guess that's just me.
Mhm.
So this is the whole area here.
Hold on, let me put my glasses on. Okay, the cemetery is,
So here's the cemetery. You see me circling it? This is the cemetery.
okay,
This is Boland Drive,
right,
right? How it goes along there. This is the area they want to give us.
okay.
Cemetery.
And where is the building Portage
Right
Manor?
here.
Right there, okay.
This they all want.
So that was the cornfield right.
So that's what they
This is
want to
the
keep,
Baseball field and
okay,
then the county garage.
okay.
So this is what we will have. And this is what they're asking us to take. And again, this is like a very deep ravine through here, and then this is all woods.
Well,
Cheryl, to your question, I don't know if it's so much a walking path as that would be hiking. It's a rather,
It's rugged.
it's rugged.
Yeah,
steep.
and like my concern is again, potential for injuries or lawsuits and.
If there's one, from the legal standpoint, if there's one consideration to add, when it comes to the ravine, that the cemetery itself, one of the issues that we're working through is access, public access to it. Once title is severed and once the cemetery is held by the township needs to have easement rights either to Portage that the county would need to grant, or the city would need to grant a curb cut onto Bowland Drive. That, given how the land is owned there, that the curb cut would be difficult. And the easement to Portage, that there is a kind of a dirt path there. I don't think there's any expectation it would probably ever be paved, but having the ravine, that lot 7 as it's identified in the subdivision, would give the township access to a public right of way that would ensure permanent access to the cemetery. So it's just one of those, not to say, yes, you have to have the ravine. No, you don't need the ravine. But what that ravine lot does do is give you access to the cemetery.
Well, can't we ask first if we can get a curb cut or something before we take this ravine?
Sure.
Yeah, we've discussed that with them.
Cause I'm sorry, I don't want the ravine.
We only have about 10 minutes left until the other meetings start. Could we table this for next month? Is there any urgency on it?
Can you
Been a
look
long
at,
time.
can you look into if they're willing to give us curb cuts or whatever?
We've discussed that with them already, and I mean, that ensuring access is our priority when it comes to the cemetery, and so. The city owns the trail there, but yeah, I mean, we will figure out access for the cemetery. I didn't want to give much of an opinion on this because I don't know, I go a lot of ways with it, but I would not, in my opinion, access isn't a reason to take over.
Okay.
So that's just my opinion.
All right.
Next round?
But we can, add it to the next agenda.
Okay.
No old business there. Budget assistance review. I just wanted to give a note on our storm response. I was really proud of our work during the storm there. We did a lot of assisting folks that was like real random stuff. Anybody who came here with a problem, we got it solved. We did put some people up in hotels when necessary. We sent Aaron, our new facilities tech, out and literally got branches out of old ladies' yards and off their driveways so they could get out. He inspected some houses for them because, you know, some of these folks were confused with their interactions with the electric company, who were saying that, no, it's not that the problem's not on their lines. They would have to get this fixed, that fixed. And then I do want to give a huge shout out to our friend Corey Noland, who sent electricians and went himself to some houses and did repairs for free. And I was willing to pay for them because it's not what Kuntz Wagner does. They are a commercial electrician company. But, you know, and he was very kind. He said, we can't do it for a bunch of people, but if you have a couple of special cases, and within hours, he had some people lit back up and was just amazing. So I wanted to note that. And then,
How many people did you have to put up in hotels? Or
it'll
families?
be in the report next month, but
Okay, that's fine. I
How many?
just
Two?
curious. Hey, 2 families.
2, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like, okay, if you're sleeping on your sister's couch, well, then you have a
Right.
place to stay.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I
like-
agree. And you're already stressed.
Yeah, that's right. Now we hooked some folks up with food as
Food.
well. There was a lot of food stuff. The pantry immediately came in handy.
Yeah.
We were sending people out with food that day. So really, really proud of the staff that were around and helping with that, and then keeping our eye on the storm that's coming in this next Friday.
Okay.
And then we met with Stephanie Ball today, the new financial empowerment, you know, thing that they're doing with Bloomberg. And the caseworkers are going to start not making direct referrals, but are going to, when there are people who are not in such a state of crisis that they could use the financial counseling piece, we're going to start referring those people to financial counseling with approvals, saying if you come back and you want to be approved again, we need to see evidence that you went and
Right.
do this financial
Right.
planning. Obviously, the single mom of 3 having a hard time working at Burger King is not going to be asked to do that, but the folks that we think could use it. So we're really excited about that. That might be a great thing. I actually screwed up here when I created the PDF and did not mean to give you anything but that front page because this just looks like a mess because it's the other pages that I used to create this. But as
Okay.
you can see, our assistance went up, March, this year versus March last year pretty
Mhm.
significantly. The trend there continues. Any questions there? Otherwise, I don't have anything terribly notable on the budget.
Can you find out from Stephanie, are they gonna have any kind of provisions for babysitting? Like the mother of three might wanna go, but
yeah.
what's she gonna do with her kids?
It's funny, we had that, that's exactly what we talked about access and barriers immediately.
Right.
And they talked about, they haven't fleshed all that out yet. They
Mhm.
want to do some gift card type of
Mm.
incentives and these kind of things. But she seems very well aware of those barriers because I
Okay.
came in kind of hot
Right.
and said, hey, look, I can't refer a lot of people to this because they have such problems that they need so much else.
Right.
And she understood that. And so it was like, let's just start trying with who we can and not be
Right.
too strict.
Uh-huh.
So we'll just see. I'm hoping it's
Okay.
gonna be a long-term thing.
Okay.
I just think it's nice. Happy to answer any questions on the budget. Nothing too notable except to say next month, our being a self-funded insurance plan, we
Mhm.
have not had a bunch of claims come in because it's always on a 3 or
Right.
4 month delay. Now we're getting to pay the big claims, from a couple months ago. So you're going to see that group insurance really skyrocket, but that is why it operates on quite a delay. I don't know, anything else in there, Lana?
I don't think so.
Almost.
Gas will go up, won't it? Because the moratorium of.
Moratorium is over.
Oh, yeah.
Real services is out of money.
Real services
Everybody's
on
out of
money,
money.
IERA, there's nobody funding,
We're the main game in town again.
yeah, rental assistance
Okay,
either,
gotcha.
like, so yeah, it's gonna be kind of,
Great point. April starts our being the main game in
Ooh, a
town.
lot of
Literally
people
a lot of
died in
people are out of money.
January.
or their funding has been halted, cause I went to
Oh, this
utility
is
roundtable
all
today.
through the year, all year. till
Right.
now.
No, I just happened to notice that burials were 6 in January.
Yes,
I just was saying a lot of people died in January.
Yeah, we did have a bunch
We did.
over the winter. It was
Yeah.
we
weird.
did, right?
Word on the street.
Start there from the center of this.
Yeah. Food pantry, we've done well there that we have not spent a ton out of that yet because we had so many donations, but we did have to purchase some supplies and then East Bank Grocery, we made a big purchase with them, $500-600.
Mhm.
And then Lana's meeting with the Northern Indiana Food Bank where we'll begin purchasing food from them as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, nothing else too notable in there from my standpoint.
Mhm.
Well,
Eventually I'd like to see us, if we can hook up with a church. Okay, like at my church, we have a food pantry.
uh-huh,
Okay, but Saint Stanislaus
uh-huh.
and
She's keep-
they collect food
Yeah,
and take it to and give it to our food bank. They don't have their own food bank. And it'd be nice if we could find a church that doesn't have their own food pantry,
yeah,
but they'll-
Carl Hitler's been kind of helping with that. He.
but
is
they'll
putting that
collect
word out.
food.
Yeah,
And so we relieve them of what's the word I'm looking for? We relieve them of the duty to have a food bank,
yeah.
but yet they still feel like they have a food bank because they're donating to us. What I could do is get the list of all the food banks,
That might be helpful, yeah.
and then we could look for some church.
I think so, yeah. And we've had them reaching out to us already, which
Yeah.
is nice. Ryan was here for our soft opening today. Only in 2 hours, we served 40 people, 300 pounds of
Holy
food.
cow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's where it was like, it's this real tricky balance, right? With like, if you put the word out, I mean, they'll.
Oh, you're gonna get a zillion people.
And that's where we were real like, how's this going to go? And it was okay. It was nice and smooth and it wasn't like too bad, but we ended up doing a lot. in
They're
2
once a
hours.
month, right? They can.
Right now, well, no, yeah, right, they can do it once a month, but
Right.
right now, we're gonna do every Tuesday afternoon and then expand
Right.
based on what we got and what's that ebb and flow
Yeah.
look like.
Well,
and
I
then
can
hopefully
just
do some
tell
evening and
you-
Weekend stuff.
I can just tell you, you will end up with easily 100 people a month.
Well, and it's funny, we were talking about Cheryl, said Cheryl was gonna come in and tell us exactly what she's up here. Hey,
Yeah.
Jim. And, so yeah, it's unsurprising, but what's funny is, but you're learning little things, so cultivate, or, East Bank
Yeah.
David Matthews has been great, so when he has stuff that's going to expire soon,
He gives it.
and it's not just canned goods, so we had
Right.
apples today, we have some fresh
Right,
produce
right.
today. And we had garlic, onions, we had apples.
Right,
The garlic went,
yeah.
everybody wanted some garlic, we were like, the garlic clove, so.
And bread,
A lot of vampires.
okay,
Here.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah,
yeah, bread you can get from Martin's.
okay, the expired bread or
Or
getting old,
just
yeah.
getting ready to expire.
Well, I think we're gonna be learning as we go on, for sure.
Yeah.
For everything
Yeah,
stuff.
that's something I was saying today, actually, is setting something up with Martins and Kroger's so that.
Yeah, Martin's provides.
That's really all that I had. I don't have much
Okay.
else on
Oh, I got a
facilities or
sign.
community stuff.
If you could find me.
Unless you guys have questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good. So is there a motion to adjourn the general meeting?
Motion that we adjourn.
I second. Yeah, I'll get a list of churches that don't have.